Prior to World War I, very few Americans could fly an airplane. The widespread use of airplanes in the war created a great deal of interest in flying in the public. When the war ended in 1918, the Army sold many hundreds of its trainer airplane, the Jenny, to civilians as war surplus. The Jennies flooded the market and were so cheap to buy it was almost impossible for airplane manufacturers to compete against it with newly made airplanes. From 1918 to 1927, the Jenny was about the only airplane used to train civilians how to fly. This all changed radically in 1927 when the U.S. government's aeronautics branch, the forerunner of today's FAA, declared the Jenny was no longer airworthy and virtually banned its further use. A market for newly built trainers now opened up. One of the first airplane manufacturers to jump into the new market was the Fleet Aircraft Company. This was a Canadian company, but was a division of the American Consolidated Aircraft Company. The Fleet Company began making its Model 1 trainer in 1928. The fuselage's frame was metal. The wing frame used both metal and wood. All of it was covered with fabric. The plane was sold in both Canada and the United States. In 1929, the Fleet Company began making the Model 2. This was basically the same as the Model 1, but had a better engine. The Model 2 was a popular trainer in the 1930s and into the early 1940s. Several different models were built, usually with the only difference being in the engines used. A total of 1,250 of all models were built. The airplane carried two people, a pilot trainer and the student pilot. They sat in separate open cockpits. Specifications for the Fleet Model 2: length 22 feet, wingspan 28 feet, height 8 feet, weight loaded 1,600 pounds, maximum speed 110 miles per hour, cruise speed 95 miles per hour, range 352 miles, ceiling 12,000 feet, power plant a 5-cylinder radial engine producing 100 horsepower.